Hey man, I got that new TMX Thrustmaster wheel. It's going down.
Xbox One?
I can't wait to play when I get home.
Yo, let me play?
Yeah, I play first. Yeah.
You know, I'll race it for it.
Well, I have one.
Keep it up.
Whoa, great! Oh no, big mistake! I had to back one and down to 99 Harry Coleman.
It has been an absolutely astonishing season.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2018 Formula Sim Racing Ace Division race here from the Marina Bay circuit in the gorgeous starlit streets of Singapore. I am Alex Skinner, your main commentator for today, and alongside me is my very good friend and colleague from the previous broadcasting pro, Tyler Parker.
Hey, how you doing, Alex?
Doing too badly myself, and we've got a very good race lined up for you all today with a larger grid than we saw last time out at Monza. 19 cars here, 2 that have RSVP'd a bit late, so we're going to have penalties to deal with, but we'll talk about them more in warm-up. At the moment, we're in the midst of what is a pretty close qualifying session, if I do say so myself. Robin Pansar currently on pole, 1 minute 32.983. Already doing an amazing job, one of the quickest guys in the field by half a second almost. The ACR driver currently on top with Phil Kraus, the flag-to-flag sim racing driver, currently second on a 1 minute 33.415. And in third place is currently Danny van der Neet, the NetRex driver, on a 1 minute 33.654. So already we're seeing some times a lot quicker than the pro race we just saw about an hour ago. But a lot of drivers still yet to set laps. Only 14 cars have currently set laps, with some on their laps at the moment, some in the pit lane, just waiting for the track to rubber up a bit more. But Tyler, it's great to have you in the broadcast booth with me for what is going to be an amazing race. As we said, we've just come for an amazing pro. So how do you think the Ace is going to stack up to that?
I think the Ace is going to be hopefully a little bit more measured. Some of the stuff that we saw in the pro was not bad at all. We just saw a little bit of craziness, I guess, in the pro due to strategy. I think there's going to be a lot of strategy involved here as well. But for the most part, hopefully we'll be able to see a clean turn 1, which I think we got for the most part in the pro race as well. What I'm really looking for is to see which one of these drivers can really accentuate a good strategy call in this long and grueling race, basically. Who's best on their tires, who can make their tires either A, last a little bit longer, or B, kind of like what we saw in the pro race, who can really utilize the undercut on their tires to really maximize not only clear track, which is imperative to have around a street course, but also utilize the strategy to where they're extracting the maximum amount from those tires before they start to sort of fall off that cliff and they aren't as fast as some of their competitors. I think, to me, the undercut is going to be very strong. You've got a pit delta of around 20 seconds, so making sure that you're very clinical on pit lane is going to be a plus here. I don't really think the overcut's going to work all that well, although we did see two drivers in the Pro Series do fairly well on the overcut today. I think the highest one was P6. He finished P6. That was Matthew Toussaint. But those are kind of the keys that I'm looking for going into this race. We have a lot of fast drivers. Right now, looking at Robin Panzer right now at a 132.9, that is extremely quick, almost 4/10 of a second faster than anybody else on the track right now. But really, just looking at these drivers who are a little bit more experienced, a little bit faster than some of the pro drivers, to really navigate these machines around this tight and twisty Marina Bay circuit.
Yeah, exactly. And as we say, this is the step up from pro. So this is the second highest tier in the ladder, with the top obviously being World Championship, which is on just after 6:30 tonight. But obviously, as we say, we're focused here on the Ace race, and just obviously, as you say, looking down the grid, Robin Panzer, as you said, on an absolutely amazing 1 minute 32.9. The first driver actually this weekend to drop into the 32s, the pro pole time, being in the high 1 minute 33s. But just looking down the grid, no one seems to be able to challenge Robin Panzer at the moment. Everyone's improving on their own time, but they're not able to find that extra edge on Panzer's best at the moment, which is an utter shame because, everyone, it'd be great to see some of these guys managing to make that happen. And so we can get a last lap dash like we did have in pro. We'd look at D'Amelio taking it on the final qualifying lap. But obviously, as I said, we came from Monza last time out, which was a very, very fun race indeed. I've got to say, great to see. It was an amazing fight, and I think myself and Cameron Rodger got to thank already for being the amazing broadcaster we've got with as our cameraman today. Will be no doubt muttering things in my ear all race. Was there helping us through all of that, and he'll be here helping us through it all again. But just looking down the grid, Davide Chiappini, the Pescara driver, about to start his lap, coming under the grandstand. One of the more tricky corners on this circuit, and as I said in the pro race, this is one of my favourite circuits on the calendar, as much as everyone will hate me for saying that because everyone thinks it's the biggest sweat of a circuit in their life. But just go on board for a lap with Davide Chiappini if possible, and just watch him, see how he can do on this lap, and just see the difference between the pro drivers and the ace drivers, see how differently they take the corners, and you can already see how much more speed that Davide is taking in compared to the pro drivers. And they sort of like to hang the rear end out a small bit more, use up the tyres more in qualifying, to have a bit more of a higher feel. Coming out of turn 4 onto the DRS back straight, really don't want to lift here. If you can avoid lifting here, you've already gained yourself a good couple of tenths. So he comes into turn 5, runs a bit wide on the curb, no problems there, it's perfectly legal. Through turn 6, it's one of the tight corners, he's got Valeriano, who gets out of his way very nicely indeed. He's 3 tenths up on his best. 300ths up on his best, 3/10 down on Robin Panzer's first sector. So it doesn't look, unless you can get a gloriously amazing second and third sector, it doesn't look like he'll take the pole. But it's still great to see how much more curb these guys use and how much more committed they are. The pro drivers are expected to be a little bit more timid with the car and less controlling of it. But, they're still, as we say, the top 10 in pro should be an ace, pretty roughly on pace-wise if we look at it. But these guys, at the step up, they are the guys that these guys are pretty much the reserves of World Championship. If you don't have a driver in World Champ, you look to these guys pretty much for your reserves. But coming through under the banner, coming into the final few corners, he's down 4 thousandths on his best lap, coming into the final corner. This is one of the annoying corners because if you run wide, you're going to run wide to the whole corner. If you're too tight, you're going to bounce the car and run even wider. 800ths up. Stays P7 on the grid at the moment, but still one of the more pushing laps of these guys.
Indeed there, Alex, and to be sure, definitely you can see the difference in sort of the ability for these guys to showcase their car control. That's probably one of the biggest things that I've noticed thus far in watching these guys is the amount of car control they have is just crazy good compared to some of the ace driver or some of the pro drivers. I mean, but again, a lot of the pro drivers, great drivers, uh, even before their time in FSR in their own accord. Um, as I'm just taking a look at Danny Vanderneet as he's on his qualifying lap. But we do have Robin Panzer back out on the track. We'll see if he works any magic as well to increase that pole time. But I think he's put it a little bit out of range from everybody right now. You were talking to me earlier before the broadcast, Alex, of having some new faces and new names that you haven't seen in the ace ranks. Do you want to talk about that? Who you think may or may not be on for a good showing today?
Well, last time out, obviously, my first commentary back in Ace was last time out at Monza, and obviously, haven't been here for a year, so obviously, some drivers I wouldn't have recognised just because they didn't do Monza, but a lot of these guys, I know pretty much a good few of the drivers and how they drive by now, so haven't been here for a couple of years, so you sort of pick up little things, especially from other series. But I was just, before I mention that, just looking at the last, instead of it being like the grandstand chicane that's catching people out, it seems to be the final corner. I've seen a good few people lose the rear end coming through that final corner and just completely bin it into the wall backwards. I just saw one of the flag drivers actually do it the minute you started mentioning about it, Tyler. But like a lot of the guys, the guys we didn't see last time out at Monza, we didn't see. I was trying to look down the grid now. We didn't see Lucas Schmidt. We didn't see Jeffrey Fournier. We didn't see Harris Parvez. We didn't see, from what I remember, we didn't see Jordi Lopez or Arif Roslan or Shan Najam. So we've got a good few, not new faces, but a good few faces that didn't turn out last time are going to be turning up here. With two of those drivers having penalties, I think it's pit lane penalties they've got to serve. But just looking, as Panzer's gone across the first sector at 0.012, he is incredibly consistent, it seems, on his qualifying laps. But just trying to look down the order, see if anyone else is getting anywhere near his times at the moment. Because even his own teammates are struggling at the moment, with Lucas Schmidt being 0.3 down on Robin in the second sector as he's coming under the grandstand now. So much confidence these guys have in these cars to throw them into the corners. Whereas a lot of the pro drivers, slow them down a bit more. But these guys really chucking these cars in. I can't wait to see what the World Championship drivers do later on. But Schmidt comes across the final corner. 0.2 up goes P5 on the grid. So he's currently, the second highest of the ACR cars.
Indeed, there, Alex. And when we were riding on with Danny Vanderneet, he was actually able to improve his position up to P2, 133.3, but still 3/3500ths of a second back of Robin Panzer's time. So I'm wondering, does anybody have anything for it? We saw earlier today in the pro race, though Ivan Leonov didn't necessarily start on pole. Luca Demella was able to take that away, though he had issues in the race earlier. I'm just wondering if maybe Robin Panzer is just going to cruise to this pole and just sort of drive away from everybody and just control the race in sort of typical ACR fashion in some of the other leagues that they race in. To me, some of the drivers that I'm interested in looking at and looking see how well they do are obviously Lucas Schmidt in one of the other ACR cars. They tend to field some pretty good drivers. Victor Ivanov seems to have been fairly quick throughout practice. Interested to see what he can bring to the table as far as speed. And then myself personally, I've worked with Jeffrey Fournier in some other leagues. He's a very studious driver. Takes a lot of time, really understands what he needs to do to be fast, and understands strategy. I'm really interested to see what Jeffrey Fournier might be able to do today in regards of that, being sort of a step ahead of some of these guys as far as strategy goes and maximizing his pace.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, as you say that, there's just a few guys that I'm definitely looking out for. You know, it's pretty much a couple of guys I was looking out for last time at Monza, you know, as people will remember. I was looking more at the flag guys like Kian White and Phil Kraus. Obviously, here today, you know, I'm going to be looking at Robin Panzer to see if he can, you know, do what Ivan Lenov did in the Pro and just gap the field by magical amounts of seconds a lap and see what he can do with that ACR car. But I'm also looking, you know, at Lucas Schmidt, and I'm also looking at Haris Parvez and also Jeffrey Fournier. They're sort of drivers that I've known are very, very quick, but not in qualifying pace. They're more quick in their race pace than their racecraft. So, you know, you can be majorly quick around here, which, you know, you need to do to get the track position. But if your race pace is too badly, you know, off the pace here, you're pretty much worthless in qualifying. So you need to make sure that you can really push your car around the tracks, and that's what a lot of these guys are trying to do. And these guys are really putting the qualifying effort into practice. You know, a lot of them making more mistakes because, you know, they're trying to get those extra tenths out of the lap. I saw I think it was Aaron Roslan spin off coming over the bridge just after the old Singapore sling because he was just pushing that car so much. The ridge snapped out underneath him and he hit the barrier. Lap done, and that's the end of his qualifying. But with a few of these guys, you know, not setting laps, it seems, they're just looking. Lawrence Kiesmaker, Okachini, and Silvatsky and Brunansky haven't set laps yet. Maybe those guys will try and set laps. Oh no, they can't. Sorry, it's towards the end of the session. I'm doing really well at getting my times right today. But it's sort of a do-or-die lap, and anyone who thinks they can go quicker than Robin Panzer at the moment might be in for a bit of a shock because Panzer is currently a 10th up on his best time. Let's see what you can do coming through Sector 2. ACR driver really pushing his car to the limits. Obviously, those guys usually will bring such amazingly crafted setups to the events. 59, yeah, 1/10 quicker in the second sector. He's going to extend that gap. He's probably going to do a 1 minute 32.7, I think, if he can nail this final sector and not have traffic, which he won't do because the nearest track to him is Haris Parvez, and he'll be well out of the way by the time he gets towards him. So coming through the third to last corner and roaring it down towards the final corner, bit of rear end slide, nothing unusual. Through the final corner, over the curb, 2/10 improvement, a 1 minute 32.713, and that is the end of the qualifying session for him. No one else is on a lap as far as I'm aware. So your pole sitter is going to be Robin Panzer for ACR. What a qualifying time to go 6/10 quicker than the rest of the field.
Yeah, that definitely makes a statement for sure. Some of the drivers that were able to improve, I saw Jeffrey Fournier bump up from 10th up to 6th position, and it looks like Lucas Schmidt was able to improve his position. I was riding along with Phil Kraus too, and he had kind of like what you talked about there, Alex, a little bit of a moment coming out of that final turn and sort of spun it over the line. Wasn't able to improve his position at all. But definitely that final turn seems to definitely be a turn that we want to watch as far as drivers potentially getting into issues.
Yep, of course. And as you know, as that qualifying session comes from them, we're now going to head into a short little break, and then we're going to start talking about the intent, the strategies that are going to play out. So we'll be right back after a couple of messages from our amazing sponsors.
5 will not run, keep it up.
Whoa, Reese! Oh no, big mistake! Edwards got back one and down to 99 corners.
It has been an absolutely astonishing season.
Welcome back, everybody, to the 2018 Formula Sim Racing Ace Division race here from the Marina Bay circuit in the Starlit, Singapore. Obviously, again, myself and Tyler Parker on commentary with Cameron Rodger on the cameras, joining you for the next, well, most likely the next 2 and a bit hours of racing here at the amazing, gorgeous street circuit that we have here in Singapore. Obviously, Tyler, we've just seen what was a pretty dominant qualifying from Robin Panzer. What do you think the rest of the field are going to have to do now with strategy?
Wave a magic wand. No, they're going to have to do something because Robin Panzer definitely has the qualifying pace. But like you brought up earlier, the qualifying pace necessarily isn't the true tale of the tape for this circuit, to be sure. To me, what I look at strategy and what I'm going to take away from sort of the pro race, which we had beforehand, is it seemed like the 3 strategy was king. Nobody really tried for a 2 strategy that we saw that was super successful, although we did see some guys who were outside the top 10 in qualifying utilize those soft tires and sort of make that work. They go on a 3-stop strategy still, but they would go soft, soft, ultra soft, which the 3 tire compounds that we did bring here to Singapore are the ultra soft, softs, and mediums. We saw few people, and I do mean a few, less than a handful, go onto those mediums, but the pace just didn't seem to be there. So what I'm going to be looking at is potentially somebody who has decent pace and decent wear on those soft tires, see if they can maybe extend them. But what I'm really looking for is the guys on the ultra softs to get in some clean air, go onto those softs for that middle stint, and for the first 2 stints basically, and then potentially get off those and get onto the ultra softs toward the end and really make hay, cut through the field and sort of gain back any sort of track position they may have lost, or they may be working on gaining on the car in front to try and pass either Robin Panzer, who's on pole, or whoever is able to maybe take the lead going into turn 1.
Yeah, exactly. And just looking at warm-up at the moment, I'm not sure what drivers are doing race runs or not, but currently looking like Lucas Schmidt, unless he's doing a qualifying run, looking like the race pace times from these guys are pretty much equaling the pro qualifying times. So hopefully this race will probably take a bit less than 2 hours with the pace we're looking at, but you know, it'll get close to that 2 hour. We don't have a 2 hour time limit like the real Formula 1 does. We don't have to worry about safety cars, or, well, usually we don't have to worry about red flags, but you know, sometimes those events occur where we need to stop the race for some reason, e.g. the server crashes, you know. That's the only problem you have with sim racing, unlike in Formula 1, where they have the cars having some electrical issues because of the tram lines. We just have the whole internet connection going down and everyone disconnecting. But there, we shouldn't have that, and as you said, with strategy, you know, it's going to mainly be waving a magic wand if Robin Panzer can keep his pace up. So he's just doing one of his laps at the moment, so just keeping an eye on him, but I'm not, you know, I'm not expecting people to be using the medium tyres in Ace. I'm probably expecting them to be used more in World Championship if they can make them last, because obviously it's a longer race, double the distance of Pro, roughly. So you know, it's pretty much going to be a case of you want some of the harder tyres, maybe if you want to do less stops. Here, it's more in Ace and in Pro. It's more of a case of, all right, what's the quickest tyre we can get on, and how long can we push them for? And, you know, as we saw in Pro, a lot of the drivers really pushing those tyres a long way. Matthew Tewson and Jackson Vent really pushing those tyres further and further and further. And some teams and one driver even trying to utilise the super softs for, you know, one match stint and pitting again. But, you know, it didn't work out and they lost 20 seconds from it. So we'll see what people trial in Ace, and hopefully they don't try the super soft strategy like one of the drivers in Pro did. But it'll be interesting, and hopefully no one blows their engines up towards the end, because that is the other key problem that you will get in Singapore. If it's not the crashing, it's not the tyres, your engine is going to be what hits you, and it always has been. Now, Robin Panzar goes 10th, 1 minute 43.3 with that lap. I doubt that was a true representation of his time because I doubt he's going to be, that far off the pace, slower than pro times in his race pace. So we'll be definitely looking more towards what they actually start doing in the race before we can really see who's going to come out on top. But again, we've got a couple of drivers that have got pit lane penalties, and that is Laurent Kiersmakers, and also I'm just trying to find out because he's not. Yeah, Adriano Pacini, who I can't actually see in the server. No, he's P6. Okay, I'm going blind somehow. And if we actually have a look towards the standings of the championship, obviously we're getting towards the latter part of the year now. The standings are going to be becoming a very big part of the championship. You look at the top of the driver standings, and it's Giordano Valeriano with 146 points. He's 42 points ahead of Davide Chiappini. So it's a very, very big gap. And, Davide Chiappini has got a lot of work to do, especially with these young guns coming into ACE, pretty late in the season and really stealing the thunder, winning these races very, very strongly indeed. Drivers like Kian White coming in, waltzing away with a good couple of the races, really proving his pace, especially last time out of Monza. From what I remember, he won that race. Third place is Lucas Schmidt, 102 points. He missed out last time as he didn't actually attend the race, so he's behind the race on points at the moment. You go down to fourth. It's Victor Ivanov on 86 points and Dawid Mrocek on 80. Dawid actually isn't here this race, so he's not going to gain any points, but you're looking towards more the top three of the standings to be able to possibly win this championship realistically. Obviously, it's possible for a lot of these drivers to win the championship, but the top three, it's more realistic for them to win the title. If we go over the team standings, however, it's a bit of a closer ball game. Ace Everchronic Racing currently lead the standings, 182 points. So Netrex is 161 points. Musto are currently third on 138, with Pescara SHS on 137, a point separating third and fourth. Fifth place is the second Avid Chronic Racing team, Avid Chronic SimSport, with 75 points, tied with Flag Orange on 75 as well. So you're looking again at the top lot. Instead, it's the top four this time instead of the top three. So this race could be a pivotal point in the standings. With more Avid Chronic cars on the grid this time out, it's going to be a bit of a fairer game. And hopefully this time we have no pit incidents like we did last time out. I believe it was Robin Panzer last time out who crashed in the pit lane and actually had to retire from that. So it could be a very, very interesting day indeed in the championship. And Singapore has always been known to be one of those pivotal points of the championship, no matter what series, no matter what sort of class you're racing in. So let's see how well this goes as we come to the end of warm-up. The drivers are going to start gridding up in the next couple of moments. And it's going to be a very, very interesting race indeed as Jordi Lopez finishes the end of warm-up with a 1 minute 39.3, 1/10 quicker than Lucas Schmidt. So maybe Jordi Lopez in the Netrex traditional car could potentially prove a point to us, as we now have the grid sorted out by the administrator Chris Cobb, race director doing an amazing job as per usual. Everyone being wished good luck. And hopefully no issues at turn one. So let's ask you a very serious question here. Who do you think is going to be the top three in this race?
If Robin Panzer can keep his nose clean, I gotta say Robin Panzer. Lucas Schmidt, just because where he's at in the championship, and I kind of want to see what White can do. But Davide Chiappini, I think also might be one to watch as well. Although that P9 we saw earlier in the pro race, that P9, P10 area right there, with our points leaders, if I'm not mistaken, right around there, with Giordano Valeriano, that was a dangerous place to be. They did have some incidents, Tom Oldenmeyer, the pro points leader, did have some incidents there, and that's sort of the I guess, no man's land you kind of want to be in. You're also relegated to start on the tire that you qualified on, whereas 11th on back can kind of make their decision and sort of have a little extra strategy option to choose from. So I'm going to be watching 9 and 10 uh, with Davide Chiappini, Giordano Valeriano, Lucas Schmidt, and Robin Panzer.
Yeah, and as I'm going to probably be watching Panzer, Schmidt, and Kraus and Kim White. I think those four can really change the podium, but I do think that Panzer's going to win it. But as we're on the formation, that will go down the grid. So Robin Panzer is your pole sitter for ACR Avid Chronic Racing. Second is going to be Danny van der Neet for Netrex. Third is going to be Lucas Schmidt for Avid Chronic Racing. And fourth is going to be Victor Ivanov for Netrex. Fifth is going to be Phil Kraus for Flag to Flag. Then it's going to be Jeffrey Fournier for Ormilla. I'm very sorry, I will get that name correctly. Ormilla. There we go. Seventh is Kian White for Flag to Flag. Eighth is Harris Parves for Musto. Ninth is Davide Chiappini for Pescara. 10th, Giordano Valeriano, your points leader, remember, for Musto. 11th is Jordi Lopez for Netrex. 12th is Arif Roslan for Invictus. 13th is Cheyenne Najan for Flag to Flag. 14th is George Chantapantelis for Go Speed. Now, and in the pits, we will have starting is Jiri Siravatsky for I will get it right, sorry, Neosoft Engineering. Martin Brunansky for Neosoft Engineering. Laurent Kiersmakers for Avid Chronic Racing. And Adriano Oppicini for Pescara SHS in the pit lane. And we got it all done. All of the 18 drivers on the grid today, all done before we got round the final corner. Just waiting for them to finish, to grid up now. What is going to be a phenomenal race indeed. If it's anything like Pro, we're definitely going to be seeing some very entertaining racing. As Robin Panzer comes around the final corner, eyes up his grid spot, and just coasts towards it, slightly likely on the brakes, lines up in his grid spot. Don't want to lock the tyres up this early. Now, as we saw in Pro, we're expecting the drivers on the Ultra Softs to come in around lap 9 to 12, from what I remember you saying, Tyler. As I've noticed that that's P5. No, it's Jeffrey Parves overstepping their grid slots, it looks like. Very far ahead in their grid slots, alongside a couple of other drivers. And that's not just my camera perspective. About 4 drivers, but the lights are coming on, so 5 lights, and we're away for the start of the Singapore Grand Prix. And it's a great start by Danny van der Neet and also for Lucas Schmidt. Into turn 1 we go. Robin Panzer is going to lead away. Danny van der Neet on the inside of Lucas Schmidt is going to be very close indeed. He's going to make the position. Lucas Schmidt down to 3rd. Victor Ivanov 4th. Phil Kraus 5th. And a crash at the back of the field as well. And Jeffrey Fournier's round. Everyone, I think, is going to avoid it. Fournier holds the brakes. Very smart by the Frenchman. He's out already with suspension problems, so he's out of this race. Arif Roslan challenging Cheyenne Najam for P11. And I can hear the sigh from my colleague here as he's very sad that Fournier's out of the first corner.
Yeah, I know Jeff outside, and he's a very, like I said before in the pre-race, he's a very studious guy. Really a tactician and a technician in a race car, and I know he's going to be pounding the side of his helmet there, saying, "Man, I wish I had another try at it." But get him next week, Jeff. Get him next round. But we've got this great race starting out, and Robin Panzer just gapping right now. He's even out of DRS range. Not that we have DRS activated right now, but he is out of DRS range even now.
Yeah, it's taken him about a lap to get out of DRS range. So absolutely phenomenal driving by Robin Panzer. ACR, Avid Chronic Racing, showing what they're here to do. And the top 4 is still the same. It's still ACR Netrex. And the top 5, Philip Kraus still, Harris Parves, very close indeed. Not really much going on. Everyone's still sort of filtering themselves in. No one really retiring except for Jeffrey Fournier. But as we come on to lap 2 now here at Singapore, a couple of the drivers are going to be really eyeing up the guys in front of them, really focusing on their strategy now. Unlike in Pro, you're not going to see some crazy dive bombs not until the end of the race anyway. But you're going to be seeing a lot more strategic moves and a lot more strategic options being made. As Harris Parvez is right on the back of Philip Kraus on the slipstream, coming down towards turn 5. If he makes a move or not, it'll be very questionable if he does. He's not close enough. We'll have to wait for the DRS to help him with that. All these guys roughly keeping their pace at the moment. It just seems that Harris Parvez down in P6 and Giordano Valeriano have obviously all gained places because Valeriano is up to P7 now.
Indeed, and it just seemed like it's a very single file train right now. As we take a look at, I'm going to the field right now, taking a look at everybody, but it does seem very nose to tail right now. I'm wondering if everybody's just sort of, getting a feel for how the track's going to react, and sort of just making sure they're getting enough temperature in their tires to really start mounting a charge against whoever's in the position in front.
Yeah, definitely, completely correct there. I've just been told that the grid spots probably aren't aligned fully, so that'll be why we saw some drivers a bit further ahead in their grid spots than we thought. We're just currently looking at the field. Obviously, the DRS will be enabled this time so we're now on to DRS range. So anyone within a second of the car in front, no matter if they are on the same lap or not, the car behind will get DRS, which is a drag reduction system. For any of you who don't know how it works, basically opens the rear wing, opens up, gives a gap, and gives them a bit less drag. It means they can go a bit quicker. So a lot of teams will factor that into their car, or won't really factor it into the car. So suddenly they'll realise they're going about 20 kilometres an hour faster, and then maybe have a bit of a problem. But coming onto the back straight, just having a look on board with Harris Parvez, in the DRS, that flag-to-flag car looks a lot quicker than him. So maybe that Musto car doesn't have much in the way of top speed. They've gone more for a downforce package compared to what Phil Kraus has gone for, maybe more for a bit of a top speed package, which he can gap everyone else in the corners where they can't, or on the straights where they can get him, and then sort of hold them up in the corners where they can't.
And that higher downforce should help a little bit with the tire wear. One of the things I guess we neglected to talk about is the fact that this circuit is very tough on the tires. Managing your tire wear is going to be key also. This track is very tough on the right front tire. It's tough on all the tires, but the right front especially. But having that little extra downforce, being able to carry a little bit more speed through the corners, yes, you will heat the tires up more with the downforce, but you should be able to use the tires slightly less also, being able to sort of nurse them a little bit better with that higher downforce, as opposed to if you're slipping and sliding and actually scrubbing the tire across with a lower downforce setting. So something to definitely look at if there are setup differences.
Oh, and as we've just been told that George Pantelis has no front wing. So that's, yeah, and he's got a heavy suspension damage, so he's gone into the wall somewhere. Oh, 45-degree suspension damage, and in the chicane under the grandstand. Oh dear, that's not very good for George Pantelis, and that's the one corner that I said we didn't expect mistakes from these guys, expected at the final corner. But that is the one corner that will always catch people out as George gets it back safe to bits, but I think that's game over for him. But there's a crash between Opportuni and Roslan, and I think one of the flag-to-flag cars, which I believe was Shine Najam. Opportuni just overspeed into the corner, both turned in, 2 into 1 didn't go, Opporuni spun, and poor Roslan got collected in an accident that really didn't have much option into. So Opporuni, the only driver in the grid running the Halo, alongside Roslan got away with the front wing, so very lucky for him. But Opporuni has not got away with the front wing, so he's going to have to pit this lap. Hopefully we can get a replay of that come up soon. But that is, wow. That was a very costly mistake already for Opporuni. Someone who, is really needing to get into the, into those areas. Oh, sorry, into the championship fight. I need to get my words right today.
It's been a long race, though. I feel you, Alex.
We've gone to our pro race where we've had to talk about things left, right, centre, and now we come into Ace, which is a bit more chilled out and everything's, and I'm forgetting my words. But yeah, Andrea Opporuni currently further down in the top fight, 18th in the standings, 22 points. So he's out here just for glory, really, just to see. But George, also what I'm looking at, George Chantapandalis has actually carried on. Never mind, he has just retired, just as I was about to say, he's carried on. So it's a shame for him to go out already. But the problem and the thing with this series with Ace is with the amount of drivers we usually get in the races, with a couple of retirees, you're guaranteed points. You might as well, as long as you can finish in classification, go around and get the points. Because you see, we've already had 2 drivers lost within the first 5 laps of the 46-lap race.
Mm-hmm. With a grid that only bolstered 18 cars to begin with, you know, all you have to do is basically be ahead of 3 guys who had more bad luck than you, and you're in the points.
Yeah, exactly. And we're now down to the amount of cars that we're running when at the end of the pro race. So within 5 laps, we've already, you know, hit the same length drivers as pros. Adriano Opportuni retires with suspension damage. Well,
another wreck farther back in the pack. Davide Chiappini just got by Jordi Lopez, who got it all wrong, I guess, into the corner, one of the corners there, and he's still sitting there on track as he'll retire right now. But his car was up in the air a little bit, and great avoiding maneuvers by Davide Chiappini there to not get involved in that. Again, championship implications with Davide Chiappini. But indeed, again, the tightness of this Marina Bay, and more to what you've been doing with you've been struggling with too, Alex, is some of the words. Long race here, very endurance heavy on this race.
What we've just been told. What we've just been told is the SimRacing driver's worst nightmare, the neutral glitch, which is where you are shifting down the gears, the car goes into neutral, and bang! He's selected first or reverse in some cases, we found out happened in World Championship at Monza, and you've either spun off or the engine's blown up. So that's a massive shame for Jordi Lopez, already out within the first 5 laps of this race. But something we've got to pick up on is the fact that Robin Panzar's 4 seconds ahead of Danny Van Der Neef, who is holding up Lucas Schmidt. So Robin Panzar, who is nowhere near the fight for the championship at all in Ace at all. I'm just trying to look for where he is actually on the standings. He is 36th with 1 single point to his name. The Swede is currently leading, dominating here. He's out for glory. He's going to go for glory. Lucas Schmidt is fighting Danny Van Der Neef. So 3rd place in the championship is fighting 6th place in the championship at the moment, and this is all vital for the championship, with Giordano Valeriano being 7th at the moment.
And an update too, Cian White has retired. I'm trying to take a look right now via replay to see what actually had happened.
Kian apparently had a lot of damage, so that's a shame for Kian. Kian, one of those star drivers that, you know, I very much, you know, I've known through other simulators and other racing series, but he's very much one of those guys that coming to FSR and been very, very quick off the bat. Shame that he's already got damage. He's now relying on his teammate Phil Kraus, who's currently P5. The American currently 5th. But still, Lucas Schmidt within, you know, touching distance of Danny Van Der Neef. It's like he's got a rope attached to the back of that Netrex, just trying to rope him in. As Phil Kraus is trying to rope in Victor Ivanov, and, well, Haris Pavic is trying to rope in Philip Kraus, but I wouldn't be surprised as we're getting towards the end of the season if Haris Pavic has to let Valeriano through towards the end of the race, because, well, it would seem logical for the championship, and it would seem logical in most people's eyes, even though a lot of people hate team orders. But it's one of those circuits where you just can't afford anything. We saw it in the pro race where Cameron Rodger let Geordie Spears through because Cameron was coming in that lap. It made sense. Cameron Rodger then pitted, came out, pitted again on the next lap, then came out again on the correct tyres that he needed to actually be on instead of the tyres he wasn't meant to be on. But yeah, he made it work, and he's just sworn at me as well. How dare my cameraman swear at me? But coming on to lap 8 now of the race, with a very sort of spread out field at the moment. Everyone's sort of let themselves get away from each other. So it's now very much a case of strategy. But Monza saw people getting very close and staying with each other in like nice little tight groups. Here you're going to see the total opposite. Everyone's going to gap. Everyone's going to try and do qualifying laps, and that's why you saw people doing a lot of, probably a lot more quicker laps in warm-ups than you would expect. But Danny van der Neet really seems to have the edge on Lucas Schmidt down the straights. That Necrex car looks very, very quick and very tasty in a straight line. But on the other hand, Victor Ivanov doesn't seem to be very quick in a straight line. He's dropped off the back of Lucas Schmidt. He's out of that 1 second window. So he's under pressure from Phil Kraus and Harris Parvez at the moment in the fight for P4. But obviously now we can nicely relax. The field fully spread by over half a minute now. We can relax, sit back, grab yourself a cup of tea, make sure you're comfortable and settle in for what's going to be a decently long race full of strategy and hopefully not too much crashing.
Yeah, hopefully we've gotten all that out of our systems here. It seemed roughly about this time during the pro race, things started to settle down and it was a little bit more measured, at least. Although in the next laps or so, we might, well, in the next lap or two, might be seeing the first guys or first drivers who want to really look at that undercut strategy might be coming in to get off these ultra softs and get onto these soft tires here, especially the way that the field's sort of been gapped up here. But we'll see. But yeah, we'll take you on a full field rundown right now as they just start lap 9. We have Robin Panzer still in P1, Danny van der Neet P2, followed closely by Lucas Schmidt, although it seems to be that Schmidt is losing some time to Danny van der Neet there. P4 is Victor Ivanov, P5 Phil Kraus, who is starting to fall under more pressure from Harris Parvez in P6. Giordano Valeriano down there in P7th, kind of all by his lonesome, although you can see Davide Chiappini not too far behind him. Then Cheyenne Najam in P9, followed by Lawrence Kurzmaker makers in P10, Arif Rolson in P11, Jiri Sirovansky in P12, and Martin Bernansky in P13. Of the drivers retired, we have Cian White P14, Jordi Lopez P15, Adriano Appercini in P16, George Chanciapantelis in P17, and Jeffrey Fournier in P18.
Yeah, and it's sort of, you know, nice to get a bit of a small little grid run down every now and then. We sadly couldn't really do much of in pros. The order was changing pretty much every lap. Now, lap 10, and Lucas Schmidt is coming into the pit lane. ACR pulling the gun early, or pulling the gun at the very start of the pit strategy.
He's also followed in by Phil Kraus.
Yeah. Right, what does Lucas Schmidt goes on? He goes on to the softs. What does Phil Kraus go on to? The softs. So ACR and flag to flag following the same strategy. Oh, and Ivanov's out. Chiappini's out. This is crucial. This is crucial for the championship. Chiappini and Ivanov are out. Don't know what's gone on there. I need to actually have a look at the replay myself. Oh dear, that doesn't look very good from the... Oh god. Yeah, that didn't look very... Okay, so basically what's happened is Victor Ivanov's had the accident and poor Chiappini's gotten collected. So Ivanov comes around the final corner. This happened literally, as I mentioned, Lucas Schmidt was coming into the pit lane. Ivanov loses the rear end out of the final corner, rolls onto the racing line, and Chiappini just doesn't react in time and plows straight into him. So 2 more retirements, 11 cars remaining, and that is definitely crucial for the championship.
Indeed it is there, Alex, and I hate to say it, to me that's kind of a racing incident, if you can say that somewhat.
Oh no, it definitely is a racing incident, there's no doubt about it. It was the fact that Chiappini, he didn't manage to react quick enough, which it happens. It's the final corner, you've pretty much, it's the same as coming through the tunnel, the grandstand chicane, as I call it. You know, you're already committed. Oh, I've just seen Phil. I thought Philip Kraus. Oh wait, has Philip Kraus gotten past Najam, or was it? Oh no, it was already. No, Philip Kraus was. Oh no, sorry, I'm being an idiot. I can't read things correctly. No, Philip Kraus was getting past his teammate who is... Oh! There's a spin behind. Arif Roslan spins out of the tunnel chicane. Seeing that in the background, and he is out as well. Arif Roslan just giving up. I don't see why the drivers should give up so early on. They're giving away way too many points in the championship to people.
Yeah, we are having an attrition-filled races. We only have 10 drivers in the field, as we had our leader, Robin Pansar, Danny Vanderneet.
Lucas Schmidt versus Danny Vanderneet. This is close indeed. DRS down the back straight, side by side. Danny Vanderneet on the inside. Lucas Schmidt's going to take the position. Lucas Schmidt is now second on the road. Robin Panzer came out of the pits in first place. It's a 1-2 for ACR now, which means third place is Danny Vanderneet. Danny Vanderneet has lost a place in the pit stops.
Indeed, and Danny Vanderneet was just coming out of the pits. He followed Robin Panzer in the lap before. Robin Panzer, Danny Vanderneet, I believe it was Harris Parvez, and might have been Valeriano, all came into the pits at the same time there. And as we can see, look at how strong this undercut has been right now for these guys. Lucas Schmidt now up into P2, able to get by Vanderneet, and Phil Kraus hanging around in P4, and probably going to be able to potentially run down Vanderneet as his tires are a little bit warmer. But it seems like, oh no, not at all. Phil Kraus is a little bit farther back. I need to look at my gaps there. But Phil Kraus definitely probably going to be able to fend off any sort of challenge from Harris Parvez up until the next stop.
Yeah, and I've just heard from Kian White that he was having 10% tyre wear, going a second slower than he should have done. That was how bad his damage was. So that I can understand, because if you're going that slow, you are going to end up out of classification, or you're going to have a bigger accident. But I understand Chiappini retiring because he sort of lost a wheel in that scenario, so he can't really do much to avoid it. And just looking down the field, everything sort of settled itself out as the last of the pit callers make their stops. Martin Brunansky coming into the pit lane, going onto the medium tyres. So he's trying something a bit different at the back of the field. Well, at the back of the field, you've got nothing to lose, really. Neosoft. Really trying something different. You might, as I say, if you're at the back, you might as well try something. You've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, I agree with that, Alex. I just think that the pace and even the tire life is going to be in those mediums. Now, the mediums will last a lot longer than softs and the ultra softs, but I just don't think you're going to have the pace to really make up the track position that you're going to lose by not going as fast, as consistently fast over a stretch of time as a lot of these front runners.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's also a shame that most of the people have retired, and it's now just down to strategy, and pretty much going to be pretty much a procession for the rest of the race. Singapore, one of those tracks, pretty much like Monaco. It's the Monaco of the Formula Sim racing calendar, where we don't do Monaco mainly for the exact same reason. Of attrition and everyone probably having some accidents. So the same problems happen here, but it's a lot less than it would have been at Monaco. I feel most of us feel. So just currently, we'll give another rundown as we're on lap 13. It's currently Robin Panzer by 4.5 seconds to his teammate Lucas Schmidt. Third place is Danny Vanderneet. Fourth is Phil Kraus. Fifth is Harris Parvez. Sixth is Cheyenne Najam. Seventh is Laurent Kiersmakers. Eighth is Giordano Valeriano, your championship leader. Ninth is Yuri Siravatsky. 10th and last of your runners is Martin Brunansky. Now, let's put it this way. Laurent Kiersmakers started from the pit lane. So he started dead last, and he's currently 7th on track, and is at the back of Najam, who I believe Kiersmakers probably started on the softs. So he started on the softs, still out. So he's going to be coming to the end of his first stint soon. He's going to drop back to 9th, so because of the delta being about 20 seconds. He's only 8 seconds ahead of Yuri Siravatsky. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, what develops for Laurent Kiersmakers. So we've got to keep an eye on him. But Robin Panzer, he has a narrative word of his own.
Yeah.
Same with Lucas Schmidt, except for the fact he's got Danny van der Neer behind him.
Oh, it's very reminiscent of kind of what Ivan Leonov in the pro race here. Now, the thing back to Kiersmaker here, I'm just wondering, you know, he might be getting to the end of his stint, although it seems like he just sort of pulls over and lets Giordano Valeriano by there. I was gonna say, if Valeriano doesn't get by Kiersmaker here very soon, he's going to basically lose whatever advantage he had when he came into the pit, being on, you know, those tires that are a little bit newer, soft tires, same compound, but newer than Kiersmaker. He needs to sort of make time right now, and sort of close that gap to Cheyenne Najam, to sort of close him down to improve his position to P6. This is going to be a huge points haul for Valeriano.
Yeah, exactly. Valeriano currently sat 7th. He's going to gain a very large amount of points out of this. But it's just, what I'm interested in now strategy-wise is what Laurent Kiersmakers is going to do. Is he going to go onto the mediums? Because, you know, ACR, the cars seem to have the pace to make it work. So maybe he could actually make those medium tyres work and go longer than everyone else and maybe pull himself back into the game later on. Which, you know, it'll be a gamble, but for where he is in the championship and where he is in this race, I think it's worth it, you know. And, you know, for someone like Valeriano, you want to stick to a normal strategy. You don't want to give away too many points. But for Kiersmakers, you really want to try and gain as many points as possible. Same with Lucas Schmidt. Now, I'd be surprised, and I know ACR are a team that don't fabricate results because they are, you know, very much respect to them. But I would be very surprised if they don't let Lucas Schmidt take the win with where Kiersmakers is at the moment, as Cheyenne Najam comes into the pit lane, goes on to a set of ultra softs, I believe. He's very much stationary in the pit lane, so I believe he might have had an accident somewhere.
Yeah, he may have had damage from some of the
No,
contact.
he's he had a 1:44 lap, and then he's come in. So I think no, he's been fine. So he's all right at the moment. So he's just coming to make his first pit stop. But I would say, as I was saying, I wouldn't be surprised if Lucas Schmidt wins this race on the basis that he's the championship leader, because ACR very much want to take this title, and they're very much in a position where they can do. Because if you look at where Valeriano is, he's P6. Lucas Schmidt would win this race. That would be a massive handful of points he could gain. And with Chiappini out of the picture, he could be close to taking second in the championship at this round. And coming into Suzuka in 4 weeks' time, you never know what could happen at that circuit.
Yeah, Suzuka will be a wild card of the circuit, to tell the truth there. Another thing to take a look at, and you alluded to it earlier, will Lucas Schmidt maybe win this race? Will ACR Zach Speed maybe say, hey, Robin, pull over a little bit, let Lucas by? We have potentially the same thing might be going on for Valeriano and Parvez, their teammates, who Valeriano, they might try to limit the damage that Lucas Schmidt could do by winning, by maybe trying to say, hey, Parvez, back off a little bit. We're going to let Valeriano go and try to gain back a few points for him to sort of negate the damage that may or may not occur, as we have Kiersmaker into the pits. Right,
so let's see what Laurent Kiersmakers does. He goes on to a set of softs. So he's sticking to a normal strategy, so he's not going to do what I thought he'd do. Jiri Sirvatsky comes in as well. So let's see what Jiri goes on to. He goes on to the ultra soft, so he's, though, a bit of a differing strategy. Laurent stays on the mediums, and Jiri goes on to the ultras. So Cheyenne is there. Oh, and apparently Cheyenne... Oh, and because of Cheyenne having a slow outlap...
Cheyenne's all over the place, bouncing off walls.
He's fine at the moment. He's got no damage, so it could just be your end, which does happen. It is rFactor. But he is currently 8th. He's actually dropped behind Laurent Kiersmakers. So Kiersmakers is ahead of Najam on track now. So this is going to be interesting on that position. Now, Parvez is 13 seconds ahead of Valeriano. But oh no, Parves has pitted. Okay, he pitted on lap 11. So they are both on the same strategy, I believe. Yeah, because Valeriano pitted on lap 11 as well. So Philip Kraus currently P4, and you know, it's a pretty chilled out atmosphere in the race at the moment. 4.7 seconds between the two ACR cars, and then another 1.1 between Schmidt and Van der Neat. And then Philip Kraus in fourth, well, sorry, I'll see what it is across the timing beam. 2.9 behind Danny Van der Neat. And Parves is 1.8 behind Phil Kraus. So, you know, the top five separated by 10.7 seconds at the moment, and we're only 17 laps in. Not even halfway in, and the field is already spread by a minute and 16. So it's been a attrition field race. It's going to be a relaxing one indeed. The complete polar opposite to what Monza was.
If we take a look now at the battle for second there, Lucas Schmidt, not too far behind. Danny Van der Neat it seems like Danny Van der Neat is catching or reeling back in Lucas Schmidt there, little by little. I'm wondering if this is going to be a battle here in not too distant a future.
Yeah, Danny Van der Neat running consistent 39s at the moment with Lucas Schmidt sort of bouncing between the 39s and the 40s, really. So if Lucas doesn't get his consistency down to constant 39s, he's going to be losing time a bit too regularly. You can still see his teammate up the road, so, you know, Robin's not far out of reach, 4.5 seconds, so the gap's come down again. But it seems like Danny is a bit quicker. He's only 1 second back now.
Yeah, Lucas is going to have to think about defending.
DRS timing being.
Yeah, I was going to say Lucas is going to have to worry about. Lucas is going to have to worry about Danny potentially getting DRS if he keeps this up, though, and definitely not what you're going to want to have happen.
No, exactly, and there's not really any proper close fights going on except for that front lot now. So the fight that we're going to be, you know, pretty much focusing on this whole race is going to be the strategic fight between Danny Van der Neat and Lucas Schmidt, really, and maybe seeing what Laurent Kiersmakers can do from the back of the grid. As Adriano Opportuni, sorry, the other driver that started from the pit lane is out as well. It's, you know, our very much last to first challenge is going to be for Laurent Kiersmakers, although last to first may be a bit difficult in the current situation, being 47.1 seconds, sorry, off the lead. But anything is possible here at Singapore.
Well, if the attrition rate keeps going at the same rate, it might be possible to at least see him in the top 5. But I'm looking at that battle between 7th and 8th right now. Cheyenne Najam is definitely trying to close it in, as he's within 1 second right now of Laurent Kiersmakers, and he'll be getting the aid of DRS this next lap for sure. So Lawrence Kiersmaker might have his work cut out for him.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, Cheyenne Najam in the flag car, one of the more busy drivers on the grid, so has less time to jump in a race car and go fast. You know, doing a really good job here today. Obviously, running in 8th, so 3rd to last. Still doing a great job for someone who probably hasn't raced for a while, because I didn't see them last time at Monza, and I don't know if Cheyenne raced the round before that at Spa. Well, cameraman will probably tell me he owns flag to flag, but Iris Parves as well, trying to chase down Phil Kraus, but just unable to do so. The gaps are all sort of stalling out a bit, and no, the gap between Schmidt and Van der Neat is now 1.2, so the gaps are sort of stalling and sort of accordioning slightly.
Well, you brought up a great point during the pro race, Alec, of dirty air, and how dirty air will affect your car going through the corner. Might we start? Is this what we're seeing? Maybe is this sort of buffer of when you can get up to the dirty air, and then trying to figure out how to get through that dirty air necessarily. The other thing is again, a long race. a lot of points on the table. Maybe you take it a little bit easier and don't stress the engine. Don't ride in somebody's dirty air or wait a little bit too long and overheat that engine and potentially push yourself to maybe blow your engine 3, 4, 5, or even 10 laps from the end by just taking a little bit easy and just sort of managing the gap right now.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, as we saw in the pro race, the old championship leading driver of Tom Oldermanger, he was doing really well climbing up the field, and then he blew the engine. He was fighting in traffic constantly that race, but where he was on the grid, he blew the engine. He's lost the title. He's lost the title position now. He's now off to Ivan Leonov. So the current problem for him is obviously, same problem for anyone here. Valeriano won't have that problem because he's nowhere near anyone at all. He's 21.3 seconds ahead of Laurent Kiersmakers and 14.8 seconds behind Horace Parvis. So he's in a world of his own. He can turn the boost down, slowly relax, and push the tyres as far as he'd like to. But someone like Danny Van Der Neet, on the other hand, he has got the rear end of that Avid Chronic Racing car of Lucas Schmidt very much close to him. And it's the same really with Horace Parves, who's very close to Philip Kraus. So it's, they've got the problem. So if any of them get too close for too long, they could blow the engine towards the end. And we don't want any more retirements, let's put it that way.
No, one more retirement will be at 50% capacity of what we started the race at. So let's try to keep it above that at least, boys.
Yeah, and Danny Van Der Neet actually very close to the back of Lucas Schmidt coming around the final corner. So DRS is really going to help him here if he's got access to it, which he does. Comes into turn 1. Jeffrey Fournier commentating saying, "Welcome to the club of drivers with damage." We feel very sorry for you, Jeffrey. Honestly, we do. But now, Danny Van Der Neet on the back of Lucas Schmidt. This is probably going to be his only chance for the coming future. On the DRS, coming down the back straight, he's going to turn the boost up on his Netrex. Lucas goes defensive. He's going to go to the outside. Brake later. Is he going to hold it around the outside? It's going to be very tight indeed. He's got the inside for turn 6, sorry. And he's going to very much make that move stick. Oh, well done. Danny Van Der Neet gets past Lucas Schmidt. Now, Lucas Schmidt's got that work to do. But the thing is, Lucas hasn't wasted his tyres defending that. So he's been very smart indeed. He's now going to probably just coast in the back of Danny's slipstream, fuel save as best he can, then go at him a bit later on in the race. Be very gentlemanly with it.
Well, you do need to be gentle with these cars, as we've seen with 7 retirements here. You need to be a little bit more gentle than 7 of these drivers have been with some of their ways of going around this track for sure. But yeah, I think that's definitely a smart play by Lucas Schmidt. Don't hurt your tires on this track. You're always going to have an opportunity as long as you can keep the gap somewhat manageable within that sort of 20-second window. You can, with a good pit stop and good strategy, pass that guy right back during your pit stop.
As we say that, Lucas Schmidt comes into the pit lane. So this is actually, it's on time for his second stop, second soft stop. So let's see what he does. Stays on the soft, so he's going to go for another long stint, and he'll go on the ultras at the end, I feel. So this is definitely going to be a very, well, not slow stint, but it's going to be his second of his 2 slow stints, and he's going to go back on the ultras at the end for that last burst of speed. And he's dropped behind Giordano Valeriano. So he's not got really much traffic anywhere near him, as his teammate, Laurent Kiersmakers, is pretty much about 30 seconds behind him. Yep, about 30 seconds behind him. So he's not really got to worry at all. And it's now up to, he's not worried about what Robin Panzer's doing. He's worried about what Danny Van Der Neet is doing. And Danny Van Der Neet isn't worried about what Robin Panzer's doing. He's worried about what Lucas Schmidt is doing. Those 2 guys are really going to be, fighting as best he can.
And, Lucas Schmidt there, that's even a little bit earlier than what I would think would be optimal for a undercut strategy there. But we'll see if Lucas can maybe make it work.
Well, he came in on lap 9 last time out, so Well, he's done 11 laps on a set of softs. That's not long enough.
No, I don't think so.
Optimal stints are about 13-ish laps on the options.
So
Oh, sorry.
he's either...
So unless he's going for 3 soft stints.
That's what I was going to say. He
Unless he's trying to do what Cameron did in pro, which worked, it got him up the grid. But he needs the pace at the end though, which is what Danny van der Neet's going to have. Unless he's betting that track position is enough, which it isn't, because Danny van der Neet got past him on the straight. He needs that pace at the end, and Phil Kraus now obviously running third with Horace Parvez pounding the back of his flag to flag in fourth. This would be a fight of the ages very in the near future. Even on pitch strategy, it's going to be a fight of the ages.
Well, we also
Robin Pence has already got traffic.
Well, we also have the fight behind him with Giordano Valeriano getting passed by Lucas Schmidt right now as they head through the hairpin there, and Schmidt stuffs it down the inside of Valeriano and takes that position away. So
yeah, Valeriano wouldn't have made that too difficult at all, mainly just because of the fact he didn't, Valeriano's coming towards the end of his stint. He doesn't want to worry about a driver that's running second and, half a minute up the field from him. So, it's pretty similar to just watching it on the broadcast at the moment. I've got the broadcast up as well. And yeah, it was a pretty easy pass, leaves him plenty of room, just lets him dive it up the inside like a madman.
But yeah, it'll definitely be interesting as Schmidt just checks out on Giordano Valeriano. Just you can see the difference between what the newer softs do to the older softs of Valeriano. But
right, Kraus and Parvez in. Sorry to
no, that's fine. Kraus almost tagged the pit wall.
Oh, that was very close to suspension damage there, Phil. Cameron would have been having his head in his hands going, no. But Phil Kraus still jumps, still gets past obviously stays ahead of Horace Parvez. He's going to jump out behind Giordano Valeriano, but obviously Giordano has not pitted. And Cameron even got that on broadcast, so well done, Cameron. That was very, very close indeed. As we say, Lucas Schmidt back up to third now. Then Giordano Valeriano fourth currently, but obviously that bodes nothing really with them being off the strategy.
Well, the other thing that Phil Kraus is going to have to worry about now, though, is he's well out of DRS range from Valeriano. Very far back, but Parvez is right behind him, so he needs to really make hay on this outlap here to make sure that he can either break the DRS range or at least get enough temperature into his tires to where he can defend against Horace Parvez from taking that fifth place away from him.
Oh, definitely, and the fact that Phil made that small little error coming into the pit lane is probably what's cost it. It's probably what's now even cost him fifth place. Because of that issue. Robin Panzer comes into the pit lane now, lap 24 of 46, so just over the halfway mark.
And
comes in,
follows him in.
Yeah,
and
those guys on the same strategy.
Lucas Schmidt.
Oh, that's unsafe. That's an unsafe release if I've ever seen one in my life. Thank God Danny van der Neet was smart and hit the brakes, but they're on different tyres. Panzer on the Ultras, Van der Neet on the softs. And Lucas Schmidt's going to take P2 back.
Van der Neet, yep.
Because of that accident, or because of that issue, Van der Neet's lost P2. That's going to be a process half after the race.
I was going to say...
Valeriano comes in.
If I was Danny van der Neet, then I would probably be looking at taking something to the COA. With the way that Robin Panzer handles that, because he definitely gave his teammates an advantage. What would have been a race up to the line and through turn one with van der Neet, it basically turned into van der Neet getting easily passed in pit lane, and now the two ACR cars are out front. With Phil Kraus only, almost 3 seconds behind? So...
Yeah, I've also just looked. Laurent Kiersmakers has gotten past Valeriano in that pit cycle. So Kiersmakers now 6th on the road. So, great driving by him to make that work. But it's now the fight we're now looking at is now the fight between Kraus and Parvez. Or Harris Perez, as we like to call him in the community. To see what he can do coming through. He's been doing an amazing job of hounding the back of the American Phil Krause at the moment. But as I was saying, just to have a quick chat with you guys, as I was saying to Tyler before the race, I said, right, we've got less cars, there'll be a bit less chaos, hopefully less of an attrition rate. I think I was a bit wrong there. You know, only 10 cars left.
Well, you know, it's a good thing you didn't go to Vegas and put any money down on it, because you'd be a sad boy right about now. Definitely
The
don't
one
bet me
race,
over.
the one chance we have of not having an attrition rate, and we have more of an attrition rate than Monza. Wait, no, we didn't actually. No, actually, Monza wasn't that bad of an attrition rate. I take that back. Monza was actually we had a good few finishes at Monza, so we had pretty much roughly the same grid size. So yeah, and Philip Krause has just checked out from Parvez. So you know, Philip Krause has definitely got the car underneath him, so not have to worry about Parvez. So even with that mistake, he's doing a good job. Yuri Siravatsky comes into the pit lane from 8th position.
And just an update for anybody who's interested in the strategy, we still have Martin Bernansky on those mediums, trundling along, though, but he's about close to probably 10 seconds or so in front of the leaders, potentially looking to get lapped here, but still on those medium tires, so we'll see if maybe that doesn't come back into play a little bit later on. But again, I just don't think the pace is there to actually pass anybody with those mediums. They'll last a long time, but they're just not fast enough to put you in a position to pass anybody when they're in the pits.
Well, what I'm thinking is Bernansky wants to limit the amount of time he loses, because you think it's going to be 20-second loss from the pit lane. If he feels he won't lose 20 seconds, you know, with the extra, you know, any extra time he's going to have with the tyres, he's going to, you know, he's making a good strategy call, because that's literally how you work your tyres out. Are you going to lose more time doing this, or are you going to lose more time pitting, basically? And it works amazingly. I've just been reading the broadcast chat. Victor Ivanov. At least I earned my 10 points for style. Yeah, you definitely earned your points there, my friend. Do anything.
And that's got to be maddening for Harris Parvez, who knows that he probably has a faster car if he can get it out in the open. But Philip Krause with an equally fast car, just sort of negating anything that Harris Parvez could do with setting a faster lap, because of the dirty air and the fact that he's just probably altering Parvez's line just a little bit to try and get more air, and potentially hurting Parvez's engine as well.
Yeah, definitely. And with Lucas Schmidt still 5.4 seconds ahead of Danny Van Der Neat at the moment, you know, it's pretty much settled down in that fight for second place. So it's all of time for all the drivers. I think by now the drivers are just relaxing. You know, we've made the halfway point already. You know, it's taken a lot less time than the pro race did, but the pro race went by a bit quicker with the amount of action going on. As you said about Bernansky, well, he's about to be lapped by Robin Panzer. So on lap 28 of 46, he's been lapped. So, you know, he may go 2 laps down, but that's not bad at all, especially considering my attempt in FSR. I went 5 laps down by the end of the race. I was still classified, but, you know, I went 5 laps down.
Indeed, it's just I just keep looking at that strategy, and you know, even if Bernansky saves that extra 20 seconds or so in the pits, he's only going to maybe leapfrog his teammate into P9. So I just don't see what the net gain is there necessarily, other than the fact that, yeah, I beat my teammate.
Well, if they're in their own little championship fight themselves, which I'll actually have a look at now, see how close those guys are in the championship to each other. You know, it could just be a nice little bit of, you know, in competitive, like, you know, friendly bit of competition between them. And you know what? If they're having that, good on them, because a lot of teams don't have that. Like, you know, a lot of teams are like, oh no, I must be ahead, I must be ahead, I must be ahead, I must be ahead. You know, it's nice to have a bit of comedic competition. And, you know, it's what I do with my guys. Say, oh, come on, if you're going to fight each other cleanly, but don't kill each other. And when they do kill each other, it's a completely hilarity. because it has happened, and I will not deny that.
Oh,
So I'm
I
just
know.
looking.
Meme
Yeah,
I've seen.
Ricky Monster have done that plenty.
But
So I'm just
it looks
having a
like
look
I was
down the
gonna say
order.
it looks like Giordano Valeriano has made it past Lawrence Gearsmaker there. So Valeriano in 6th place now, behind his teammate Harris Parvez, but well behind his teammate Harris Parvez.
Yeah, just remember though that Keersmakers and Valeriano are on different strategies. Keersmakers on the soft tyres and Valeriano on the ultras. Obviously, Harris Parvez, the difference between that and the guys fighting for fourth is Harris Parvez and Phil Krause are on the same tyre as Danny Van der Neet and Lucas Schmidt lap Martin Brunanski. So those guys get past him pretty cleanly. He goes a lap down to second and third. But just looking at the championship tables, Siravatsky is on 23.17th, and Brunanski is 28th with 6. So a bit of a difference between the two, but it's pretty much bragging rights, and it's a bit of fun. So who cares, really?
Yeah.
Now, one driver we did see in practice, but we haven't seen in the race, is Kevin Ryan. Now, I saw him have a sort of an accident. Well, I think it was in qualifying. I saw him had an accident, and he just seemed to leave the race. So, which is a shame. So, it would have been nice to see what the Torrent driver could have done. He could have scored points quite easily, actually. I think if he's watching the stream now, he's probably kicking himself, going, "Oh, I should have actually raced now."
We've got some action now as Shayan Najam is trying to make a pass on Lawrence Kearsmaker. Kearsmaker just out of the pits on new Ultra Softs as Najam right up on the back of him. Najam on much older, 3-4 lap older Ultra Softs right now, as opposed to Kearsmaker's fresh rubber. And unfortunately, I think Najam had his chance going into and out of turn 1 and 2 there, that complex, to try and get by Kearsmaker. I just don't think Najam's going to get close enough to get another shot until the next pit stop cycle.
Now, here's a development. Obviously, Phil Krause and Brunanski Phil lapping Brunanski. He doesn't have DRS, but Harris Parvez does. Harris Parvez getting very close. Still not close enough. Even with the DRS, that Musto does not have the straight line speed. What gearing setup have they got on that Musto that's not allowing them to close up, even with a massive hole in their rear wing? Like, you might as well take the rear wing off that thing and it still probably wouldn't close up to the back of him. It just seems that ridiculous with the speed difference. And Harris Parvez having to push so much harder through some corners just to keep up.
I don't know if Parvez would like not having a rear wing through most of this circuit, though.
Oh, no, of course not. But now, something else I've just noticed. 9/10 is the gap between Lucas Schmidt and Danny Van der Neet. We could be in for a fight. And this will be very interesting indeed. This is part 2. Let's see what happens.
And I think you said it before, both Lucas Schmidt and Danny Van der Neet are both on the same compounded tires, roughly the same strategy. So who's going to blink first? Who's going to try? I think if I'm Danny Van der Neet, I want to come in before Lucas Schmidt. But Lucas Schmidt, historically right now, has come in very early. He only did, 11 laps on the last stint of soft tires? And
it seemed to work, though, which is curious.
But does he have to?
It seemed to work. And now, look at the DRS for Danny Van der Neet. He's not gaining that much. And that's what's confusing me. Is I know a lot of teams have gone for high downforce setup. Even with the DRS, the gap just isn't there.
But we'll definitely be able to tell.
There's now gapped Parvez enough to get out of DRS range. But it's just, that's what's sort of annoying, is that the DRS isn't doing as much as it did in Pro.
Well, we'll definitely be able to see whether or not Lucas Schmidt is going to sort of short pit again in the next 2 laps, because he'll be coming up on the window that he did last stint through with the 11 laps on the soft. I think he's going to have to try and stretch these tires another 3 to 4 laps. and I think that might open the window for
But it
Vanderneat
means that
to sort of undercut him. Because
Unless
Vanderneat's
he's finding the pace on those softs, though. If he's finding the pace on the softs, it'll work, and it'll work for him. And he's staying out. He faked him slightly. He slightly gave a little fake of coming into the pits. I'm just seeing what the other drivers are doing, if anyone else comes in. No one else comes in, so no one else is really pushing it much. As Vanderneat getting a bit slidey, it looked like, through turn 3.
So I'm looking at Vanderneat's times, and Vanderneat's been running consistently in the mid 138s. Well, if I take a look at Schmidt's time here, he's been running consistently in the low 130s, upper 138s. So Vanderneat is faster, but can Vanderneat figure out how to either A, optimize the strategy, or B, get by Lucas Schmidt?
That is true. And also, I've just looked at Brunansky, who's just come in and come out on a set of softs. The medium tyres only last 18 laps. 6-ish laps more than the softs. Well, not even that, actually. No, because the ultras last 12. Softs last about, what, 14, 15? So he's only looking at 3 laps. It's not worth it.
Not with the amount of time that he lost at all. I wonder if he might try to take these softs, though, to the end of the race. It'd be a tall ask.
We'll be able to do that quite simply because, you know, the life of the soft 14, 15. But now anyone who pits now will be looking at taking their final stint. So if Schmidt pits now, he's going on to the softs for his final stint. Anyone who pits now is committed to a soft stint. If you can push it longer and get within that 12-lap window, you can go on to the end on the ultras. That could be what wins one of these guys, or gets one of these guys the podium.
Well, and we discussed that earlier too. Is Schmidt on the ultra soft, soft strategy, or is Schmidt maybe on, you know, that ultra soft to start, ultra soft, maybe even another ultra soft at the end, a 4-stop. I think you got to stick on that 3-stop as close as.
I think he's committed to it, and it's not worked. So he's got to stick with a strategy. I think if he committed to a 4-stop, it's not going to work. He's got to go. And the thing is, he can still be saved on a 3-stop. So I think he's going to go for a 3-stop, and that will work really nicely. Let's have a look. Obviously, they're coming over the bridge. They're just coming into the hairpin, where we saw an amazing overtake in Pro. I hope that gets clipped somewhere and actually saved, because that was a phenomenal overtake by Cameron Rodger in the first stage. Cheyenne Najam is in, so he'll be going onto the soft tyres, I would hope. Yep, onto the soft tyres, as I said, so committing now onto the soft tyres. Does Robin Panzer come into the pits this time by? He's obviously on the ultra softs, remember? Actually, if he's only on the ultras, when the hell did he come in? So he came in on lap 24, so he's nearing the end of his stint. Yeah, we're just being told by our, also seems to be head strategist as well, it seems. That our cameraman is, he's head strategist, tyre muddle upper, and, you know, cameraman at heart, and commentator at heart as well, as Danny Vanderneat gets very close to Lucas Schmidt. He thinks that all of these guys come in on this lap, which, you know, wouldn't surprise me, because this is sort of the window for the ultra softs now. So Danny Vanderneat with the DRS. What will Lucas Schmidt do, if anything at all? Nothing at all. He doesn't need to. Danny Vanderneat's not close enough.
Yeah, I would definitely tend to agree with the astute Cameron Rodgers here in saying that within the next lap to 2 or 3 laps, they would all be in. I think you come in this next lap or the lap after.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all, and I'm being yelled at for reminding someone of Cameron's overtake on the final lap of the Singaporean Pro Grand Prix, which is absolutely amazing overtake. Go back and watch it. It was actually on the, I think it was on the other final laps, actually, a couple of final 3 laps on the overtake. Just set himself up really nicely to go through. And, you know, that's sort of something you'd expect to see in, you know, in the last laps of World Championship when the championship on the line. Not something you'd expect to see on the last laps of Pro. But it's just great, you know, as Robin Panzar's nearing the end of his lap, see what he does. Is he going to come in this time by? No, he's going to stay out. Now, Danny Van Den and Lucas Schmidt are very close. These are the guys that are going to be fighting each other. Schmidt bails, and so does Van Den Eek. Both pit at the exact same time. So this is the final pit stop, ladies and gentlemen.
And I think Van Den Eek had to.
Oh, Van Den Eek's been slowed as well. Schmidt onto the ultras. Is he going to get out of his garage? Okay, yes, he is. Van Den Eek onto the softs.
Interesting.
This just got interesting.
I think
Does Van Den Eek not trust his wear on the softs, or does he think that Schmidt is going to burn his ultras up? Problem is it too late to gain the time back by the time Schmidt does?
Indeed, yeah.
We've got 12 laps remaining. I don't think it's worth it. I think he's gone wrong.
No, I think Van Den Eek should have gone on the ultra softs. To me, as a strategist, you always go on the fastest tire at the end, if you can. The fastest tire that your driver feels comfortable with. Maybe Van Den Eek doesn't feel comfortable on the ultra softs, but I just.
But the thing is, he pushed those ultras so far at the start of the race.
That's why I don't understand the strategy call. I get trying to do something different than ACR Zach speed, but the thing is you have the pace on him. I guess after a while. Ooh.
And Cass Reitfeld, obviously, you remember in Pro, actually did a very good strategy indeed. He says US is the right call, and I have to agree fully with him.
Mm-hmm.
It's 12 laps from the end. You know, I know it's the cut-off point, but if you can save the tyres, you know, why the hell not? You know, it just seems the right choice. Phil Krause stays out. Parvez comes into the pit lane, so Parvez is going for the undercut.
And this will be
very
interesting to see.
Getting past Phil Krause here. Parvez stops in his box. Ultra softs. Van Den Eek's made a vital error.
I do believe so. I think Phil Krause has to come in and cover Parvez this next lap. If he doesn't, if he stays on another lap, he's sunk. You have to cover Parvez.
Definitely. If your opponent is switching onto quicker tyres, you really need to come in. And I think Phil will do that anyway. He just wants to fresher tyres to the end so he can push like mad. So Phil Krause is currently looking at P4 on track, which is absolutely amazing driving by the American. You know, didn't have the best of luck last time out at Monza, but really came back here and has really proven he is a very quick driver indeed. As Valeriano comes up behind Laurent Kiersmakers. So looks like Laurent Kiersmakers has made a very good strategy call to go up from last on the grid to P6.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought he might lose a position to Surovatsky there, but it was Bernansky behind him there. So no harm, no foul there. Bernansky, though, still running a solid race and doing a great job. Top 10, albeit with attrition, but top 10 nonetheless, and keeping himself very
And Robin Panzar comes into the pit lane. So Robin Panzar, he'll definitely go on the ultras, I feel. Yeah, no change of colour on the ultras, and away he goes. Very smart very smart strategy by the ACR. Not a stupid move whatsoever. Phil Krause comes straight in. Ultras. And away he goes.
And Phil Krause had to cover.
Right. Harris Parvez coming for the final corner. This is going to be close. Parvez has got it.
That undercut.
It is so effective.
Undercut.
The one question is, can Philip Krause catch him? 10 laps to go.
He does have, and like you said before, that Musto car doesn't seem to be very fast in a straight line. Though, we have never seen Harris Parvez in front of Phil Krause.
Yeah, but the thing is, in the slipstream, that car, even with DRS, wasn't that quick, unless he was fuel saving, which by all means, you know, if I completely muck that up, then that's my, you know, hands up. But, you know, that car did not seem quick. And even Valeriano seemed to struggle. You know, and fuel saving isn't as critical here. you know, you can get away really. You don't really need to save too much. And look, already Phil Kraus is right on the back of him. So I think that's. And look at Danny van der Neet. Danny van der Neet is very, very close to the back of Lucas Schmidt now. This, I think, is. I think Lucas and Maisie may have made the better tyre call. Danny's gone on the soft scope, push harder for longer. Whilst Lucas has got to save.
So let's compare the outlap. Danny van der Neet with a 147.496 to Lucas Schmidt on a different tire compound has a 147.23. So Danny van der Neet only gave up 0.2 of a second on a completely different tire compound on his outlap.
And remember, and that also is in the dirty area of Lucas Schmidt.
And that was a banger of an outlap. That outlap right there might have saved Danny van der Neet's race and potentially put
he's got
him.
DRS.
And
Here he comes. He's getting very close. Lucas Schmidt going defensive into turn 5. Danny van der Neet's going to have to go running outside of 6. Schmidt goes defensive. It's going to be the outside of turn 7 for Danny van der Neet, or the inside. No, he's not going to make it, but Lucas Schmidt is definitely, I think, actually, now I look at it in a greater retrospect, I think Danny's made a good call because he knows he's got to fight, go on the harder compound. If you're not giving up time, why the heck not? You're going to be able to push for longer.
Well, you touched on it earlier, too.
Kraus is right on the back of Harris Parvez as well, so the fight for 4th isn't over either.
Well, you touched
on those guys, those guys aren't far behind.
You touched on it earlier, though, Alex. Danny's going to be able to push on those tires and know he's going to have those tires under him for the duration of this stint. Lucas, on the other hand, is going to be hoping that he can hold off Danny van der Neet, till the end. Now, again, I would still probably say throw on those Ultra Softs and make the guy earn the pass. But man, Danny's really making him work. And with an outlap like he had, that was amazing. I think Danny might be in the catbird seat there to get that P2 and break up this 1-2 finish by ACR.
Yeah, but he's lost time there. He's dropped back. He's still under a second, but he's dropped back there coming through into turn 1. So he's not going to be able to capitalise like he did last lap. Lucas Schmidt has definitely put the hammer down. I think he was saving those first couple of laps. That's why. So I think he's definitely, he's just going to leg it now. On the other hand, Philip Kraus is right on the back of Harris Parvez. So let's see the 8. Yeah, I was right. The top speed on the Musto is just non-existent.
Oh, wow.
To the outside. Oh, it's going to be very close indeed. I believe that Parvez made 3 moves though. I don't want to blame, but it looked like 3 moves. It looked like he went left, came right, then left again, then came back.
I thought Europeans loved multiple moves into braking via the Max Verstappen.
Yeah, that is even true, actually. I'm just looking at it on the broadcast just now, actually, as I said, I've got the broadcast open. I've just zoomed it back to and said, here we go. So Philip Kraus goes to the inside. No, fair enough. Hands up in the air, my bad. That was perfectly legal. It looked worse than it was. It's all down to, just clients and everything else. The client, my client end and everything else. Jam Najam comes into the pit lane once more, goes on a set of ultras.
And I think outside Martin Bernansky, that's everybody who's needs to make their final pit stops. We'll see if Bernansky comes into the pit here.
Bernansky has already pitted again. Oh, Philip Kraus right on the back of Parvez as Parvez goes over the middle of the turn 3 curve. Usually straddling the curve, riding the curve, as I say. Here we go. Philip Kraus going to have another go. Bit of oversteer. Doubt that'll make much of a difference with the top speed of the flag. Parvez to the inside, Kraus to the outside. It's going to make him work for it. Oh, and Parvez pushes him off wide.
A little elbows out moment there.
Harris Parvez. Leave the man the car's with. All the time you have to leave the space.
Yeah, a little elbows out maneuver there from Parvez. So we'll see if Kraus can sort of regroup and re-attack.
Yeah, definitely. And Obviously, Kraus won't have lost much wear on his tyres. There will be more on Parvez's then. And Robin Panzer, 5.5 seconds. Less of a gap than, the pro race, but still a decent gap at that with, coming to have only 6 laps to go here.
And looking up at the battle for P2 that we were enthralled at a little bit earlier, it looks like Lucas Schmidt now has the measure of Danny Van Der Neat. And just Danny Van Der Neat's got a tall order to try and close back into Lucas Schmidt there. Again, just it would have made for great commentary at the end of the race to talk about this battle, but I think ACR and Lucas Schmidt have made the right call, and going on the faster tire toward the end of the race is again the master stroke, and they're really dominating 1-2 right now that they have going on at Singapore.
Yeah, definitely. And also just like to note, sorry for the lack of overlay on the stream at the moment. Hopefully that will come back shortly. Obviously, Cameron isn't always fully aware of it, so I'm just letting him know sort of roughly now as I've seen it. But it's also great to see like the interest, just looking at the stream chat again and just seeing people like, just seeing someone watching, just trying to find and utilize the track's fastest points and the overtaking opportunity. Honestly, if you want to have a go, come to Formula Sim Racing. Come go onto the website formulasimracing.net. Come join the forum. Come look at when the next academy race is. Get the mod. The mod is completely public. All the teams, cars, and everything is on there. It's on the forums. Free to download. Come and get it. Come give the cars a try. Come, and even if you get close to the pro, go look at pro. Look at the pro times. They're the guys that you're most likely going to be looking at. Look at their times. If you get even close to their times, jump yourself in the academy. Get yourself that, dedication area of where the admins will make the best choice. The admins are full of, current and ex-drivers in this series and, current team bosses who will look at you, go, maybe even help you. And just looking at the chat, also Formula Sim Racing comments, damn hotkeys, Cameron. But just looking at things, it's just, come and give it a go. You can, you'll really enjoy it, and it's something really fun to do. I jumped in for a race last year, pretty much, and when, I came and did Ace Monza, that went badly, let's say the least. But, it's sort of a bit of a meme in the community now, but, come and give it a go. You'll even if you're not, the quickest driver in pro, the teams that you may end up with will help you with that. If you find yourself in a strong, in a team that, say you like flag to flag, I'll give some examples. I know drivers that have gone through it. Flag to flag, they help their drivers. They give them, help them with setups, help them with driving, help them with, a lot of things. ACR. If you get spotted by ACR, take it. They will train you up, especially in Formula Sim Race. They will train you up, and you will have a big team behind you. It's like, my guys, I've had drivers, one of my ex-drivers went to ACR last year. Come and give it a go. You don't know what opportunities lay there for you. And, with Formula Sim Racing, a lot of teams, these teams do stuff elsewhere. You may get put into stuff elsewhere, in GT racing, in endurance racing, maybe even in, other Formula racing. God knows where you can end up in sim racing. Come and give it a go. And that's all, I think all myself and Tyler as, drivers and, sort of involved with teams as well, can urge you to come and do. It will be something really fun.
And Alex, I don't want to take away from this lovely pitch, though lovely as it is, and I want to focus our attention back on the P4 battle with Harris Parvez.
Definitely. I saw that evolving.
Yeah, it has definitely closed back up. So Phil Kraus evidently able to get those tires back underneath him and try to take the fight to Harris Parvez here as we enter the DRS straight. We'll see Phil Kraus, who has had excellent speed in this car, where the Muto car just hasn't, as Phil Kraus isn't really able to, as he runs wide a little bit there, isn't really able to gain any ground on Harris Parvez, but Parvez gets a little bit of a tank slapper coming out of that turn, and we'll see if Kraus can take advantage of that. You have to be so perfect around this course here, and both these drivers very good at this. A little bit of understeer there by Kraus. It seems like coming out of that chicane corner, the first corner of that chicane there, but Kraus able to just really close back up under braking and sort of keep that gap somewhat stabilized.
From what I've heard from the flag drivers, they've been saying their cars are really nice on the brakes, but you know, those brakes really seem to be nice on those cars. You know, whatever the drivers say, you know, it could be true, it could be false. You know, we get lied to all the time in commentary, but it looks like that car is really nice on the brakes compared to the Mustang. But the Mustang seems to be really nice on the traction. So it's been really interesting. Coming around the penultimate corner, Harris Parvish seems to get the better run, but coming through the final corner, it seems to go to Kraus. So down the start-finish straight, here comes the DRS. He won't make a move here, he'll make it into turn 5. On the brakes, that car seems so much more stable than the Mustang. And the lines it's taking seem so much better, but obviously Parves has to really check that car, you know, really check up the car. And here we go. This is the moment, everyone. Down the DRS straight, Philip Kraus with the DRS. Is Parves going to do anything? He goes left, Kraus goes right. Under braking, there's contact between the two, and Philip Kraus will take the position. Parves is going to be P5.
Oh, I'm
that again.
I don't know how Phil didn't spin.
It's rFactor 2. Anything's possible. I'm just watching it on the broadcast, and it just looked like I think Kraus just turned into him a bit too early. I don't know if Cam did a replay of that, but it's wow.
Yeah, I mean,
he should say it was Phil's fault as well, you know. So even the team boss of him says it was his fault. So Philip Kraus, controversial turning in and getting an onboard in the replay.
Well, he definitely had to get that car turned through the corner, but
yeah,
maybe opened up the radius.
Looking at the replay, it's pretty obvious that Kraus just turned in a bit too early. Cross on center moment.
He should have probably opened up the radius a little bit more. But at that point in time, though, you probably weren't going to make the corner with the speed that you needed to actually get by Parves there. So unfortunately, that's probably going to go to the COA, and we'll see what happens before the next round there. But as we stand on track, Phil Kraus physically in P4 right now, although he might not be, you know, legitimately in P4 up until the end. But Phil Kraus still a very courageous maneuver to go on the outside of Harris Parves for the 4th position.
Yeah, definitely. And I can understand why Philip's not giving the position back. He wants that gap. If he knows it's his fault, he's going to gap him. You know, he knows there's no way he can do it. He's just going to gap him, try and get the biggest gap possible, and pray that the penalty he gets doesn't circumcise that as such. You know, circumvent, that's it. Ooh, something else I've noticed. Do we want to have a look again at the fight for P2? Because it looks like Danny van der Neet's closed up to the back of Lucas Schmidt again.
Indeed, it does. But
that could be a very interesting fight as we're coming towards the white.
I mean, we only have, what, 1 lap left, so it's going to be quite a shootout.
Just over a lap.
And Shian Najam has come into the pits multiple times here, so I'm not sure what issues he's having right now, but hopefully we can see him make it to the end of this race as well. But we are focused on this fight for P2. Danny van der Neet right now, that was an amazing run out of the final turn there. Final 2 turns, he is closed well down on Lucas Schmidt. Going in the turn 1, 2, 3 complex right now, and van der Neet's going to have DRS coming out of here. Well, not coming out of this corner, but the next corner here. Yeah. But he's going to have DRS, and we'll see if he can maybe close down and make a maneuver on Lucas Schmidt.
He's got the speed. He's definitely got the straight line speed. Indeed, he's going to go to the right, and he's already got him before the braking zone.
Oh, don't overcook it, though, Danny.
Ooh, very close indeed. But Danny van der Neet takes the podium place with half a lap to go.
Yep.
Can Lucas Schmidt do anything at all, or will this be the final nail in the coffin? I think Danny made a good strategy call. I can't deny that. He's played a very good game there, and he's won. He's won. He may have lost the fight, but he won the war. Oh,
and we've been informed that
yeah, just running on board with him as say that. Yeah, saving fuel. Oh, yeah, he's run out of fuel. He's pushed too hard. Lucas,
Oh,
why?
no.
This is the case. We'll even get to the end.
And
Let's see,
we're
Robin
gonna.
Panzer comes around the final corner. It's been a dominant lights to flag victory for ACR. Robin Panzer wins the Singapore Grand Prix. Danny Bandini, after a lackluster race at the start, will take the second place. Lucas Schmidt will crawl along the line to finish P3. Philip Kraus will finish P4 under a controversial move. Paris Parvez will finish P5 in this race. P6 will go to your championship leading driver as Giordano Valeriano, as long as he doesn't run out of fuel as he comes through the chicane.
Indeed. And
Yep, he's going to make it. He's safe. Giordano Valeriano will come home to take P6. And Laurent Kiersmakers from the back of the grid on the pit lane to finish 1:12 off of the lead is outstanding driving by the Swede. Not the Swede, sorry, that's Robin Panzer. Apologies, Lauren. But Lauren Kiersmakers will come across the line to finish P7. P8 was Jiri Siravatsky a lap down, and 2 laps down was Martin Brunansky P9, and P10 was Shane Najam. And your retirees were Arif Roslan, Davide Schiappini, Victor Ivanov, Kian White, Jordi Lopez, Adriano Opportuni, George Chantapantelis, and Jeffrey Fournier. But obviously, congratulations to ACR's Act Speed for the victory. A shame it wasn't a 1-2 in their books with the fuel at the very, very end. But Tyler, as much as the middle of the race really died down, what an end.
yeah, I mean, well, you know, that's what you get, especially with great drivers, great mod, and you know, great competition. You get these sort of races where you think, oh, it's going to be, you know, a processionary race, and then it turns out to be sort of a dogfight there at the end, especially with Kraus and the battle for P5 and P4, and between Vanderneet and Lucas Schmidt there. Just great. I'm surprised at Lucas Schmidt not being able to save the fuel that he needed to. I'm surprised he pushed that hard, but I guess he did need to stay in front of Vanderneet. But then yeah, I'm a little interested to see what happens. I noticed before, well, at the end, there, Phil Kraus wasn't able to get a 10-second gap to Harry Parvez there. So we will see whether or not, you know, if it's anything less than a 10-second, I think Phil Kraus's P4 will be withheld. But if it's a 10-second penalty, I think he'll slip back to 5th. So we'll have to see what the COA says about that. But yeah, Alex, just a great race all around. Yeah, there were some lulls, but to tell you the truth, it was worth it calling it all the way through, and definitely at the end.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, that's what Formula Sim Racing brings. It's absolutely amazing. And, you know, amazing passes by everyone. Obviously, some stuff at the end here happens. It's racing and it will be dealt with by the COA and all of the admins there.
Mm-hmm.
But, Tyler, I've got to ask you one final question before we end this broadcast. Who do you think was your driver of the day?
I mean, the drive from pit lane was pretty impressive, but honestly, to me, the bold strategy call by Vanderneet, to me was the call of the day, the drive of the day, the pass of the day, everything of the day right there. Just to sort of turn the podium into an ACR sandwich instead of you know, just ACR on 1 and 2. Vanderneet pulled that off wonderfully. It's actually not the strategy call I would have made, and you know, maybe that's why I'm not calling him for Formula Sim Racing just yet. But that was a great job there by Vanderneet. But Lawrence Kuzmaker also just a great job. But I'm going to go Vanderneet for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I think Danny Van Der Neep really pulled it off. From what we thought was a really, we called it wrong. We called it wrong. The strategy worked in the end, and even if he didn't need the tyres, the fuel, he saved enough mid-race. And fair play to him. And once again, Formula Sim Racing Ace has pulled it off. From what we expected to be a pretty dull and slow race, has been absolutely phenomenal towards the end. And I can only thank all of you here that watched tonight, wherever you are in the world, a very, very big thank you. And obviously, I can only thank Cameron Rodger, our cameraman, strategist, and tyre muddle upper, and Chris. Massive thank you, alongside you, Tyler, for coming and joining me tonight.
Yep. No, thanks for having me, and I look forward to doing a few of these a little bit more in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, we want to thank all of you guys for watching, for coming and joining us for what has been an amazing 46-lap race here at the Singapore circuit. Join us at 6 p.m, so half an hour's time, for the World Championship race, where you're going to be brought with amazing commentary by Cameron Rodger and James Kirk, and hopefully myself, if I'm lucky enough, for what is going to be over 60 laps of intense World Championship action with the best drivers on the Formula Sim Racing grid. Make sure you tune into that in half an hour's time. But from myself, Cameron, Chris, and Tyler, that's all for now from Formula Sim Racing Ace. See you in 4 weeks, where we turn a bit Japanese. Goodbye.